Good evening, everybody. Welcome to what looks to be a wonderful discussion with some fabulous people. Tonight we're meeting with Christophe Mao. And Chris, I only met recently. This is part of what I want to illustrate to you guys about how the art world works. I was in New York for the Frieze Fair, and I was having dinner with a friend. Actually, it was Tony Carmen, who's who's the director of Expo Chicago. That'll be in Chicago in September. And there was a small reception or after reception at Chris's gallery in New York, which is named Chambers Fine Art. And I went and we talked for a little bit and we liked each other, and I asked him if he would participate. And here we are. And what I find particularly interesting is that, there's quite a few significant American art galleries that have gone to Beijing and Shanghai and open galleries there. But there are many fewer galleries from China, like Chris's, Chambers Fine Art, that have come to the United States and are participating here. Well, I've got a lot of questions for Christophe. And let's start with, China's really different now than it was when you grew up. When you were a little kid, were you interested in the arts, or when did you become interested in contemporary art?
Well, I'm a little bit different from other people, I guess. I grew up in the art environment.
In where?
The art environment. Meaning,
okay.
So my father was a stage lighting designer. So that's part of, even though, most of our performing art, but as a stage lighting designer, it involves a lot of visual arts. And so, yeah, I do experience a lot of art, but not per se of contemporary art.
Okay. But it still gives you a sensitivity to art.
Yes.
And did you go to college in China, or did you go to college in China and somewhere else?
Well, as my father always, every parents always push their kids to do what they do. But I'm a rebellion. I don't want to do anything about the art. So I started business. I came to United States to study business. But I do have a degree named Master of Arts Administration. So
from where? From somewhere in the United States?
Philadelphia.
Okay.
Yeah. So after that, I went to South Beach for a short time. And then I thought, I want to make some money. So I moved on to use my MBA skills. I worked for Time Warner as a financial analyst for 4 years.
Oh, how exciting. Or not.
And after 2 or 3 years, I realized I was in the mental jail.
Yes, I think so. Yeah.
So I quit and opened a gallery.
And where did you open the gallery first? Did you open in New York? Did you open in Beijing? Did you open both at the same time?
I opened in New York first, 2000, and in Chelsea. At that time, there were a few galleries there.
Right.
Then I opened a gallery in Beijing in 2007. Now, when I opened a gallery in Beijing, not necessarily what everybody think about it, think about the business, but it's more for serve artists, because 85% of my artists in Beijing.
Here, I'm showing a picture of your gallery in Beijing. Do you see that now?
Wow.
Wow, it's yours. What do you mean, wow?
I think I'm wow the technology right away.
I know, technology is pretty cool.
Design by the way, that's a gallery.
Yeah. And do you solely work with Chinese artists? Looks like it.
Yes.
And do all of these artists live in China most of the time?
Yes, most of the artists live in China, correct. And actually, 85% of them live in Beijing.
Yeah, it's a nice place. So I feel like when I was in China the first time, it might have been 10 years ago, that most Chinese artists were trying to please a Western audience, and that they were not particularly, most were not making their own art statement. And I feel like now most of the successful Chinese artists have grown to have their own identity and their own personality and their own expression. Do you agree with that?
Well, let's put that way. They are artists, do have their own identity. They do their own things, and it's those artists that you didn't see because those are people you saw it because they want to please you. They want to show you.
Right.
So that's like a catch-22, right?
There you go. Okay.
You're not penetrated deep enough. You only see those people who want to show you, who want to see you.
Now, I'm sure, yeah, that could definitely be right. Okay. Cool. So how do you show the same artists in Beijing that you show in China? I mean, excuse me, in Chicago, in New York?
Yes, yes. We do the same. What normally I do is I start showing in Beijing because the artist is basically in Beijing. And so there I always say it's like a laboratory. So artists do the show, they try, and then something's wrong or something's right, and then modify, and then the show comes to New York. So also it's a denser version. In Beijing, the gallery we have is much larger. It's like 800 square feet. And in New York, we only have less than 300. So
No. You're bigger than 300 square feet in New York. It's 3,000.
300 meter. I'm talking about meters.
Okay, so all right, you guys, there you go. So to convert square meters to square feet, huh?
More or less added a zero behind it.
Yeah, you multiply by 9. Exactly, but yes, more or less you're correct. How do you ship art from China to New York? You ship it by air or you ship by boat? Boat would be too slow.
Well, depends on actually it's not. Actually, the boat is now to take 6 weeks. But again, depends on the value, depends on the size, depends on the weight. So I use both the way to ship. Well,
Yeah.
always again, my background is business, so I always weighted which one is more economic, and which one is most efficient.
Yeah, I would think so. All right, so what are the criteria that you use to select artists? I mean, when you're working with artists in Beijing, are you thinking about them showing to a Western audience? Or are you thinking about sales, the business person? Or are you thinking about things that make you go, wow?
I think a third one, making me wow. I think you to select. This is the question everybody asking me: how do I select the artist? And actually, it's very difficult and easy to answer it because the gallery is only a gallery. I only have a certain resource and the capabilities. So of course, when I chose the artist, is based on my own taste, and then I do have a kind of informal group of people I am working with or associated with. So I always ask their opinion. And those are people mostly from museums, from university scholars, from auction houses, collectors. So it's like a kind of a collective process to collect different people's opinions. And then I made up my mind. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, I think it does. What's the situation with female artists in China? How many, I mean, in the United States, in the Western world, there's always a complaint about women artists aren't getting enough attention. And now they are getting more attention, but it's still not as much as men have gotten. How many, what's going on in China? I don't hear about a lot of female artists.
I think the one disadvantage, as my observation as a female artist, several. One is actually the fatal ones. When they married, have kids,
right?
That really lag them behind versus their husband, if their husband is an artist, because they do have traditional duties to take care of a husband and the children and that. So That's why I see a lot of really fantastic, promising female artists in China. But once happen, they start a boyfriend or married or this that, they like it, drag back, like way behind than the peers or the contemporary.
Yeah.
So that's an advantage. And I don't know. Probably they get more distracted, or they are less career orientated. Than men. I don't know. You tell me.
I think some people. Yeah, I think there's truth to that. Where are most of your clients? I mean, do you have totally different? Do people in China buy from you in New York, or do people in China buy solely from you in China? Are most of your clients in Beijing from China?
I am. If you look at my program, I'm like a very specific sort of a taste and very scholarly. Works more avant-garde, less oil painting, and
Right.
more experimental. So I'm like a sort of destiny gallery. If the people like that kind of thing, there's a place they're looking for is chambers. So or specific artists, I'm working with this same artist since I opened the gallery, and most of them. So my clientele is kind of equally distributed. 40% from USA or America, and another 30% from Europe, and another 30% from Asia. And also today, like technology we have now, to be honest with you, half clients that I have never met. Everything's done via email, phone,
Do you think a lot of your clients have not physically seen the art they're buying when they commit to it?
Again, the art I deal is most are in addition or multiple, meaning like a photo. You same photo have an addition of 5 or 10 or 6, and many those artists who have shown in the museum and collect see the photo, and they want to buy, they know exactly what to buy because the photo is the same.
Right.
And so a little bit different from oil painting in a way.
But I'm not seeing that many things on your website that are additions here.
I've attempted not to put all the things in the edition, but there are a lot of art in addition. Let's say Ai Weiwei, he's a man, he can produce several of them.
Right.
And Xu Peng is a photographer artist. And Cui Bei is different, and Feng Mengbo, he does a video, interactive video. And Guo Hongwei is different because he's a young artist, he's painting. And He Yinchang, again, he's a photo based because he's a performing artist. He does a lot of photo. Like Hong Hao, this one also is the addition of 3. And actually, almost everyone, you look at it here, except Shi Jingchong is a sculptor. And also, like this one, Zhang Wang, he is internationally well-known sculptor, and all of his sculpture is in addition of 4 or 8. So they are in addition, many of them.
Got it. Okay. Are you making most of the sales, or are people who work for you making most of the sales?
At beginning, I do most of sales, but now I do have my director do many sales. But let me see. They do a lot of grand work, but then closing the sale always with me.
Is that frequently by email, or are you talking on the phone to somebody somewhere else in the world?
Both.
Oh, okay. Let's see if anybody in this group, do you guys want to start thinking about questions and raising your hand if you have a question or something, and I will call on you? I find this really fascinating. I wonder, how did you come up with the name Chambers? Why Chambers Fine Art?
When I opened the gallery in 99, 2000, my last name is Mao, M-A-O. Most of contemporary art gallery, they use their own name as a gallery. But at that time, I think Mao is a little bit too strong. I scared people away. So, and the name is the name. So I was searching the name. And then Sir William Chambers come to my attention because he was chief architect for royal family in England at the mid-18th to later 18th century. And he's the first Westerner brought Chinese architect to the landscape to Western. And the famous the structure still there is the pagoda in the Kew Garden outside London. So chambers, so I borrowed that meaning. And then all of the chambers can be a room, can be music, and it started from a C. So upper front, upper back order. And so I chose the chambers. Actually, the one story is I want to tell everybody. When I just opened the gallery, Robert Indiana came to the gallery, and with the camera crew, he with his cigars to come to. He said, "Where's Mr. Chambers?" So I was said, "Oh, there's no Mr. Chambers, but there's Mr. Mao." You know what he said? He said, "Mao? He's just like a Hitler, that Mao?" I almost threw him out. That's proof I don't want to use Mao, That's my last name for the gallery.
Yeah, but Chambers has a lot of the same letters that Christophe Mao does also.
Well, that's a good observation.
Okay, sweet. I don't see anybody raising any hands. Do any of you guys have questions out there? Unmute yourself and ask a question. I'm going to pick on somebody.
I have a question.
Yes, please, go ahead.
I think there is an exhibit of Ai Weiwei coming to the States in Washington in the fall.
Yeah, in the Hirschman Gallery, Hirschman Museum.
Do you have anything to do with this exhibit? Did you participate in making it?
I'm working very closely with Ai Weiwei, but this particular show, no, but actually they wanted me to contribute on the catalog. Something, doing something, yeah. Actually, that show is based on Morin Museum show, which is 3 years ago in Tokyo.
Do you have exclusive arrangements with most of your artists?
No, I don't believe that, so I don't.
Do you have contracts?
I'm working with artists on the project.
Everybody?
Almost everybody, yeah.
Interesting. So basically, your projects have to succeed to keep your artists happy, and so that they'll go to it's greener next door.
Well, that's always a chance, and it's always possible. Like, I don't want to name them. There's a bigger gallery always grab the successful artists to, represent. And when that artist does not work, they dump it again, they grab the new gallery, new artist again. That's I think there's different nature of the different galleries. Some galleries are more exclusive, less artists, and more working closely. Other galleries do more sales and promotion here.
Do you think about having a gallery anywhere else, or is 2 enough? I can see you in London.
You know what? When we opened the gallery in Beijing, was one gallery in New York is already keeping me busy enough because I don't have any partner, so I do everything myself. To open a gallery in Beijing, somebody told me, want to be partner with me to open a gallery in Beijing. And I was excited, I want to do it, but somehow later on, the other person, the third party withdraw, don't want to, but I'm on the urge to open it, so I open it on my own. And I keep joking with my friends and my collector and the artists that I dig the hole, I jump in. So, meaning because, from Beijing to New York, each way is 13, 14 hours, and so it's 12 hours time difference. And without a partner, you have to pay attention to everything, details, and you have to go there. It's really tiring. And I go to Beijing 7 times minimum a year. So I mean the permanent jet lag. As a matter of fact, I've been tried Amsterdam for once, and I just told myself I can't do that anymore. But however, if somebody wants a partner with me doing something, I would not ruling out that option.
It's got to be hard. That's actually really amazing. It's hard enough to run one gallery in one major city, and you're doing it in 2. And so you don't go to all your openings. You must have openings in Beijing that you don't make.
At the beginning I do, but now I don't go all. But I try to go to all. Because if you don't go there, one artist think, oh, I'm less important than other. That's all
right.
These things. So I tried, but it is draining in a way. As much I love them.
How much staff do you have in New York?
I have 4 here and 4 in Beijing.
So I talked to Jennifer a few times. I thought she was quite good.
Yeah. David is in New York.
That's cool. Does she speak Chinese? Does she speak Mandarin?
Which one? You talk about Jen?
Jennifer. Jen.
No, she doesn't. One thing that she doesn't really speak in Chinese. But, that's okay. You cannot have everything.
No. Do you speak Cantonese also?
No.
What percentage of China speaks Mandarin? 70%? 80%?
100%.
No, not everybody in the South.
Now the government enforced everybody speaking Mandarin.
Really?
Yes.
So the movies don't have subtitles anymore?
No. People who's under 30 definitely speak Mandarin. Actually, it's stunning. Even when I said people in the 30s, after 1979, after Cultural Revolution over this that, most of the people speak Mandarin to each other on the 30s. So the government did a really good job on that side. Well, for them, I don't know how good for the local flavor. Let's put that way. But it will make life much easier if you speak Mandarin, everybody understands. Like today in Europe, most of the people speak English. So
right.
You feel good.
Interesting. Hey, Mia, did you have a question?
I have a question.
Go ahead, please.
Me?
I don't know. How many people said it? Go ahead. Whoever's got the floor, take it. Go.
Liuba, okay.
Oh, Liuba. Yes, please.
Okay. Hi, Christophe. I would like to know how is the video art market now, and in which way do you sell and promote the videos of your artists?
Oh, video artists is it's always very small group of people collect the video art, and I have a hard time to really sell video art. But now today, everybody do the same things, so with different multimedia. So if some artists who it is a video artist, they do photos, they do the paintings. Look at the Danny Hirst, look at the all those big name artists. They do everything, right?
Yeah, but what if the main work is the video, and then can have some photos connected to the video, but the main piece is the video?
Yeah.
Or do you sell the video work, or it's easier to sell a picture or painting connected to this project?
That's later one. It's, painting or photo or well, you have to look at that way. The art now is sort of divided into two directions. One is for sake of art or academic or pure art. Another side is more commercial, more collector, or people who buy. And video art is a split in the way I think. So one thing, they are so well known, so fabulous, so great on the video or in multimedia or interactive, but the people who collected that, it's a very limited amount of people. And most people still want to say, I don't want to go turn on the machine to see what I have. And there's some people buy the clip, photo or painting, what they do with their video.
Yeah.
Okay, Leona?
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, sure.
Sure, interesting. Okay, somebody else had a question?
Can anybody hear me? It's Mia.
Yeah, I can hear you. Hi, Mia, go right ahead.
Hi, I have to use my phone for sound, so I can see you guys, but I don't know if you can see me. But hi, I just wanted to ask what your favorite, I guess, aspect of working with artists is, or working in the business is. What gives you the most satisfaction and pleasure?
To working with artists is my really gives me ultimate pleasure, because most artists, we work together. We are, well, artists is a job. They have the original idea. They come up with things, and many times they work on their own. They sit in a studio. They don't see much. And my input is because I go to all the different fairs, I go to the museums, I see many different arts. So many times the artists, maybe they really come out of their own idea, but then somebody already did before. So I would tell the artist, I say, I know you did everything on your own, you come out of yourself, but too bad, unfortunately, somebody already done it before. So they value my opinion on that.
Mm-hmm. That's great. Okay.
Avoiding, Detroit. They don't want to go so far. Then find out, oh shoot, somebody already done that before. I'm not the original. That is one little aspect. Of course, there's many others. Sometimes, artists go into doing things that go out of their mind, do things, forgot. The art is, you have to share with the people.
Mm-hmm.
What do you do? The ultimate goal is you want the people agree or appreciate what you do, right? Otherwise, you can just sit at home, close the door, do whatever you want. Forget it. So I will tell them, my opinion, and So that, I think, is one valuable side of me, and also this is why others like to work with me in many ways.
That sounds great. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Cool. Alan, go ahead. Your turn. Let me unmute you first. Go ahead, Alan.
I was wondering if you do fairs, and what importance do you see as fairs being now? I know they're kind of lessened in their importance now.
I'm sorry, I don't get your question.
What about participating in art fairs? Which art fairs do you like? How important are they to your business?
Oh, actually, you notice I don't go to art fair. Participate art fair for the first few years, because to me, I think I want to accumulate more and get it, more experience and know what's happening. And so in the last 3 years, after opening the gallery for 12 years, I started really looking into the art fair. Maybe I would say I'm lucky enough, I don't have to be art fair to survive or to fail. Again, because Chambers is a designated gallery. When people are looking for specific work, they looking for the Chambers. But I noticed lately artists like to be art fair, because when people talk about, you see this art or that. The art fair is it's a place for people get together, talk about, look at. And so I do start looking into the art fair. Of course, the ultimate best art fair is Basel, Basel, Miami Basel, and now is Hong Kong Basel. And I do participate in Hong Kong Basel, and it's very political and difficult to get into the other Basel. I'm trying.
How many art fairs have you done in the last 12 months?
Oh, we've done Art Hong Kong, which is Art Basel, become
Right.
Hong Kong Basel. I did actually a VIP art fair.
How was that? Was that a good show or was that ridiculous?
It's great for me.
Really?
Yeah. So
Okay, the VIP art fair for you guys is a virtual art fair where excellent galleries have to pay an excellent sum of money to present their excellent art to people on the internet, and then they make the gallery, they allow for the gallery and the collectors to have direct communication. And it's real hard for a lot of people to know how successful it's been. So I'm interested in hearing Christophe's opinions.
I'm doing very well, actually. I can't complain. So I definitely will be next, season. And what else did I participate? Oh, I did 2 fair in Beijing, but that's purely out of in the community you support each other. So the organizers are friends and asked me to be part of it, so we do that. And it's fun. You always meet new people. What else will participate? I cannot think. Well, we are going to Chicago Art Fair
Yep.
in September. That's supposed going to be the best going to happen in Chicago.
It'll be good. Let me ask you a different question. How many of the artists you work with did you know for at least a year before you began working with them?
Well, before I started, well, let's put that away. When I open the gallery, I do always ask a well-known curator to curate a show for me. So when the curator show is always in the group show. So from the group show, I was able to spot 1 or 2 the artists, which is stand out. Normally the group show is like 7 to 8 artists. I don't like the artists to show more than like 10 because people or artists get lost. And then I able to get a lot of artists from that route at the beginning. And then as I working along further, the artists I'm working with recommend either their colleagues or their students or friends, and then from there I get the artists. And that happens. Several of my artists who is teach at the best art school in China, so I got a lot of students from there. And of course, occasionally people recommend to me here there. Before I pick up the artists to do the solo show, meaning I'm working with them, I have to know them very well as a person to understand what they do in the past, now, and predict the future. Because when you're working with one artist, actually, it's like more or less you're married to them, because you really put all your emotion, your source, your everything into that person. So
it's exactly the same thing I say. I used to have an art gallery, and I wanted to be able to anticipate a minimum of a 10-year relationship.
yeah.
First, you have to like the art. Second, you have to like the artist. Third, you have to know where they've been. Fourth, you have to be able to have a sense of where they're going to go. Nothing's worse than investing your soul and your money in an artist and then have them decide that they really want to go be a writer, and that they don't, or some, they give up making art. And
that's really pissed me off. Happened to me. You waste your time.
yeah, that's really frustrating. How young are your youngest artists?
28, 29.
And how old are the oldest?
Oh, 50-some years old.
Does that make Ai Weiwei the oldest artist?
No, there's somebody older than him.
Okay, good. I got another long question, but I want to see if anybody else has a question. Does anybody else want to ask something of Chris? Wait, I see John. John, go ahead.
It's changing course a little bit here, but with all the huge amount of building and new city development throughout China, how much is being put into public art? I don't know if you have anything similar to the Percent for Art program in China, obviously, not specifically that, but the concept of putting public art in all these cities that are being built.
Good question.
Mm-hmm. Well, I heard that there are very small percentage of amount of building budget going to the public art, but they are very, how do I describe that? They are very unpredictable, and you know, just to think about it, China, everything what we see is only less than 20 years. Now, in order to appreciate art, it's 2-3 generations. So you go figure what I try to say. So it's, it's a lot of things is very superficial, and I also say in the next 5-10 years, China will be much better because a lot of the second generation of people who made the money, who educated from overseas, they see a lot more. They understand what is art about, or contemporary art, and it's going to be really changed drastically in the next 5-10 years. Got it.
Cool.
Back to your public art. If they do public art, you only see those academic public art, meaning very conservative and say. Don't forget, China is still Communist Party country. People forgot.
Okay. Thank you. Sarah Jo, do you want to, oh, wait, let me go to Tara first. Tara, go ahead.
Like, Art Basel is not your neighborhood art fair, how do you, galleries want to work with artists that are established and reliable, but how do you find, have you ever worked with an unestablished artist, and how would they get your attention?
Is unestablished artists you're talking about?
Unestablished. Do you ever pay attention to artists who don't have a large reputation?
That's a young artist, right?
Yes, usually.
Yes, I promote a lot of young artists that become very successful.
Do you find them in other ways outside of the school that you know?
No, I know it's unfair to many artists or people who not connect, who don't know. But again, I'm just a gallery list, and my ability is very limited. And also I'm not living in China, so I rarely go to visit the studio, which is the artist I don't know.
Okay.
Sarah Jo, your turn.
Hi. Hi, Christophe. I have kind of a two-part question, so if the first part is too long, you can just answer one. But the first thing was just recently I had read something about the legal troubles with Ai Weiwei, and he sounded incredibly discouraged, not only discouraged, but also very concerned about the future in China, that the sort of police kind of power of the police was getting so strong, and that this whole kind of idea of stability and who are you protecting from what. That was one thing I wanted to ask you to comment on. Let's
stop. Wait. Let's stop there, and then we'll go to the second one later.
Okay.
So you talk about Ai Weiwei. You want me?
Yeah, you knew it had to come up. Go ahead.
Oh, Ai Weiwei is, he's a very encouraging person, and really doesn't concern what his welfare in the future, and he outspoken, and you know, he did what he wanted to do, and which is really help a lot of things, make the Chinese government think probably more what is the next steps to do. As far as from his personal level, he's fine, you know, he's restrained to leave the country, but he can do anything, go anywhere he wants within China. Beijing, put that way.
Sergio, part 2.
Oh, okay. Well, I guess the second question was, I was in Beijing, actually. I think it was a year and a half ago, and I visited the area that, I'm sorry I don't remember the name, but I know you know of it. It's a large former factory where there are many galleries now.
798.
Sorry?
798.
Exactly. And thank you. And well, part of the question is sort of about, you partially addressed it talking about the, you know, China's sort of emergence in terms of modernity, in a sense, and just the interest among people. I think there's probably a lot of interest among young people about the arts, because I think that, you know, that makes sense to me. So I wondered if you feel that kind of an area, or that way of having galleries together, if that's kind of continuing a kind of, or broadening or expanding this idea of for people to go and see art, you know, just to be interested in art. And art is also provocative. So is that something that's encouraged, or is it, so there's, yeah, speak to that.
Well, I don't know if you make a statement when you ask questions, but let me give you a brief little history of contemporary Chinese art in China. In the 1990s, contemporary art in China is forbidden. So people who do the contemporary art, they normally face, you know, arrested or being, you know, chased away. That's the 1990s. And in the later 1990s, and the government policy is, okay, you can do, you do, but as long as you don't disturb us, means government. Mm-hmm. And then started 2000, they realized the power and the connection to the rest of the world of a contemporary art. They start promote contemporary art. And now they not only promote, they want to use that as a tool, but of course in their directions. So so now, you know, anything goes, as you see 1.5 years ago. But as long as you do not anti-government. So sometimes there's even more freedom than Western, because there's no regulations that say human rights or animal rights or, you know, whatever they do.
But if someone was to attack policies that the government was supporting in areas where there are ethnic minorities, for example, in China, or where there's, you know, kind of border issues or controversy, would the government then want to step in? I mean, I think that's a bit of a, you know, a murky area. Everything goes except to not confront the government about things that the government either supports or.
Let's ask the question differently, Chris. Do you think that artists are being constrained or making different art because of the presence of the government in China?
I don't think so.
Okay. Fair enough. Perry, your turn. Go ahead, Perry.
My questions are mundane, but is there the price points different in Beijing, Christophe, than in New York? I went to a gallery in...
you know, today, again, like the information flow, and it's the world getting so small, not like 20, 30 years ago, everything is so secretive, especially in the art world. But now it's so easy. You can, check price from different gallery, from different places. Even you can, not really difficult to find the artists or how to connect them.
Do you price everything in dollars?
Yes. No, actually, now I price everything in renminbi, Chinese money.
And then you convert it to dollars, so the price in the United States might fluctuate depending on the currency rates?
Yeah, exactly. The U.S. dollar is really, really powerful against the Chinese money. It keep go down and down and down. So, and the artists keep complaining that sometimes I pay them like 1 month later. Oh, you owe me so much money. I said, why? Because the exchange rate go down. So now I'm using renminbi. So.
Interesting.
I had a question, Paul.
Hold on, Jeffrey. I want to follow up. I'll get back to you in a moment. I wanted to follow up on Perry's question. And then I want to talk about the difference in doing business with Chinese collectors, these juxtaposed to Chinese collectors, or Chinese versus American collectors. Is there a difference in sophistication? Is there a difference in knowledge? Is there a difference in their way they negotiate? Is there different reasons that they are buying the art, etc.? What are the differences between American and Chinese collectors?
It's not much difference. It's more or less the same. And the reason I want to point out, most of my collectors, and also most influential group of people in China, I would say 80% they educated from Western people who are like 45 or less years old.
Right.
And actually, majority of people do not believe Chinese education system. So everybody who able to, they also send their kids to study overseas.
Mostly where? In England and in the United States?
USA is the first choice, and England is the second, and then comes down to Canada and Australia. So English is.
Interesting. Okay, Jeffrey, go ahead. I'm sorry to have interrupted. Thank you.
You have a gallery in New York and also Beijing selling Chinese art. Are there many galleries in Beijing selling American art? I mean, is there a big market in
No,
China?
no. I don't think the Chinese are ready to buy American art, except they buy blue chips artists because they want to recognize the name. They buy impressionists.
Right.
Stop.
But not contemporary.
They buy Andy Warhol.
Yeah.
They buy Damien Hirst. They buy, things like that.
But not young contemporary artists, American artists.
No. Even in the Western well-known artists, they don't buy. They want the blue chips. Like they want to buy Louis Vuitton, Hermes, but they don't want to buy Gap. Well, I don't know.
Interesting. All right, Jeffrey, thank you. There's several other people who have unmuted themselves. I'm betting that somebody has a question. Gosha, did you have it? No, you remuted yourself. Jeffrey did that. Harry, Sarah. I don't know. Okay. Are you having more fun now that you've opened the gallery in Beijing? Or is it just, has it been worth it emotionally and financially?
Well, it's a kind of a double-edged sword.
Yeah.
Anyway, the gallery I have in Beijing was designed by Ai Weiwei. And so it's like a very celebrated buildings, and they designed the whole wall, and I have a beautiful courtyard, a nice tree. So it's a very comfortable, nice place. But I must say the pollution in Beijing is really hard to
It's a lot, isn't it?
Yeah, really hard to deal with. And it's hard to answer. If I'm go so long, I'm looking forward to go back. But when I once there for after 3 days, that gets me out there.
So you're comfortable? New York's not all that easy either. Are you happier in New York?
I'm totally happier in New York.
Okay.
I have a lot of more friends in Beijing, but you know, I can't wait every time I come back to New York. I love New York.
Interesting. Do you comprehend baseball?
Baseball? No.
Yeah, baseball. No, huh? Oh, it made me forget the question I was going to ask. Somebody bail me out here. Somebody ask Chris another question while I think about what I was trying to say.
Does he encourage his artists to move to New York?
I'm sorry?
Did you hear that? Perry wants to know if you encourage your artists to move to New York.
Well, when I do shows, so especially the solo show with the artists, I always come to New York for the opening. So, well, New York is still sort of touchable for them because it's too expensive. Or there's a lot of barrier such as language, cultural, and the food. You know, it's
Yeah, everything. Who else had a question? Somebody, Anne, go ahead. Anne, I don't hear you. You want to ask a question?
Trudy, I had a question.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, sure, Trudy, go ahead.
Yeah, I wanted to go back to the collectors. Understood you to say that they're educated, but I wonder whether they come to you educated about the contemporary art and artists that you show, or whether you part of your job is, or a good part of it is educating people to know what they're looking at and what they're looking for.
well, majority of people, even in the Western, people want to buy oil painting. That's traditional, and it's easy to understand the medium, and to know this is unique. Although the painting can be multiple many times, oil painting, you can do a little trick, more or less the same subject matter, but people still think a painting is more collectible than other. But however, if you are you grow up or you educated in the Western, you have more exposure to art other than just oil painting, that's what you only see most in China, because China doesn't really have a museum per se for modern art or contemporary art, even as late as 19th century of Western art, meaning painting. So again, that's why I emphasize educated in the Western, because you have the opportunity exposure to installations, photos, more conceptual art rather than, again, medium than traditional oil painting.
How long have scholar stones existed?
Scholar stone?
Yeah.
What do you talk about, scholar stone?
Well, you have artists on your website who has a silver or steel stone. Aren't those called scholar stones?
Oh, yeah, scholar. Yeah.
I mean, this is 3,000-4,000 years, or or am I wrong?
The oldest stone, Chinese literati and scholars have a tradition that starts 2,000 years ago, 1,000 years ago. They're looking for the founded object, which is especially from 2-3 area, and they are sort of more or less imitate the natural landscape or some stone. So scholars, Chinese literati scholars, they put that stone in front of a desk to meditate on. This is what the original scholar's rock comes from. And they can be as small as like 1 feet tall, small one on your desk, or can be as big as a few meters high, put in the garden. And so that's a tradition been going on for 1,000 years. However, the stone is hard to date because the stone, billion years. And later on, people who found the stone, of course, the most beautiful one is naturally found it as it is. We don't do anything. But later on, the scholars and the literati, they make something, man-made some hall or do something to more appealing to them. So it's a kind of a question: how long been collected that stone, rather than how long the stone exists.
Yeah, but also, I mean, if you look at the United States, there's a history of culture in this country that's 300 years or less. And the history of culture in China is 2,000 years or more.
Yeah,
so that there's a whole different sense of tradition and history and lineage and things that people are familiar with and appreciate. And there's much more depth than we have here. There's more depth in Europe than we have here. There's more depth in China than there is in Europe. I don't know that you need to say anything about that. I just think it affects people's perspective.
I think it's, you are right, because again, remember, China goes through the cultural revolutions. The revolution, cultural revolution, is get rid of anything old for whatever it is. So, which is people who like 40 or years older, if that go through that period, now looking back, the traditional Chinese, they found out, yes, of course, that's much better than what we did now. So it's become a trend, more and more people looking back at the past. And then they do their own interpretations today, which is what you saw on the website. You just showed to people. That was like a traditionally collected scholars rocks. And these artists use the sheets of stainless steel to copy exactly that stone, and he wheeled the stone together and highly polished. So become today's traditional scholars rocks.
Interesting. All right, I think we have time for a couple of more questions, and we're about ready to wrap this up. Who's beeping? Anna, good to hear from you. Go ahead.
Yes. Hello, Christophe. You are constantly surrounded by artwork. What moves you? What do you collect for yourself, and why?
I said again.
She says you have artwork from all cultures all around you. What do you buy for yourself?
Oh, I am a little bit narrow-minded as a person, and also probably I do things I'm too put into it. So I do collect art, and I collected my artist's work. So all those artists I'm working with, I collected them systematically. So I have all of my artists' work from the very beginning to now.
Cool. Okay. Who else? I just saw somebody. You guys put your hands down if you've already asked and don't want to ask again. All right, James, your turn.
Hi, Christophe. I was wondering, in all the shows you go to and the different galleries, have you seen any patterns either in Beijing or New York? Sort of a moving theme, perhaps. I want to kind of leave it open. I don't want to say trends in material or anything like that, but just your impression of any kind of patterns that might be developing.
That's everybody tries to work it out. What's the pattern? What's the trends happening? But I think when I look at the art fair, I am more try to see what's new, what's really moved me. So I I should, as a galleryist, to find out or to try to predict what's the trends or what is the next trends. But no, I didn't look at that way. Sorry. I spend more time I spend more time talk to my clients and see people and then really look at the art fair.
Do you look at it more in a business mind, perhaps? Are you doing left hemisphere, right hemisphere?
More in the personal level, I like it. It moves me. Yeah.
Okay. Great. Thank you.
I think that trends to be the case, you know, in a lot of places. You meet someone who's an expert and who's all passionate. And I just mentioned to somebody, Jeffrey, earlier when we started, I just finished reading this fabulous book, The Value of Art. And Michael Findley, who wrote the book, had a really significant gallery in New York and talks about, I mean, he's guilty of driving up the prices of artwork, but he talks about how it's really all about his singular visceral response, and that it's about what makes him go wow and what gives him, you know, that aha moment from looking at a work of art. And he says it isn't about how much it's worth. It isn't about what the wall label says, and it isn't about what the recording that so many people are walking around listening to is about. It's about the individual's one-on-one relationship with the artwork. I think that's true of an awful lot of exemplary dealers, and it's the same thing that Chris is saying. Aren't you, Chris?
Yes, absolutely. I totally agree with you.
Awesome. All right. I think we should stop at this point. Christophe, this has been fabulous. I really appreciate it. I will send you a recording of this so that you can sit there and see how brilliant you are. This has been really great. Let me unmute everybody so that they can all in unison say thank you to you. I appreciate what you've done with us tonight. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, Chris, now we're going to meet with Hamza Walker. If you want to stick around for that, you're welcome to. It's later there in New York than it is here. If you want to take off, thanks again. Good night.
Okay, I have like a few minutes, and then I have to have a dinner with, do you know the artist's name, Liu Xiaodong?
Yes.
His wife is here. I have to have dinner with her later on.
Fabulous. Every 9 o'clock in New York. Hold on, I'm stopping the recording.